All right, I'm pretty happy with our game so far. It looks like it's got some cool mechanics, and I can't wait to even just repurpose what we've done with my own artwork. This is sort of like placeholder stuff. The camera even isn't so bad. It's just still a little too like uh too quick. You know what I mean? We got a little bit of wall jumping going on with the physics. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go ahead and create our enemies and maybe clean up our player character a little bit more. So in the asset store, if you go to Unity's regular homepage, I found this thing, which is pretty cool. And if you go to like 2D, and I just went to free here, and then I just kind of scrolled down. I was looking through because I was looking for maybe some enemy characters to use. And then I just found this thing right here, Pixel Art, Pixel Adventure 2. So I'm thinking maybe our character could be a hunter or a capturer of animals. Maybe not hurt the animals, but capture them for, there's climate something happening that's going to affect them. I don't know. I'm trying to keep it positive. A lot of violent video games, but this is a really cool pack. I mean, here's some tree monsters. Those would be kind of cool if we want to do any sort of shooting mechanic. But they've got a lot of these cool characters, which I like. So I'm just going to click on add to my assets. And it's going to prompt me to accept, and I will. And then I'm going to open in Unity. And here it's Pixel Adventure 2. My one issue with all of this stuff is if you ever want to go back and you download all this cool stuff, you're like, what is it? Like I wish they had that same initial image or something inside of here, but that's kind of a criticism for Unity, not us. And then I hit download, and then I hit import 1.0 to our project, and then you can see all these assets. And I don't necessarily need the scene, but it's cool to have it in there to reference or look. And then we have these enemies with all these PNGs. I'm going to go ahead and import. And then close this out. And if you have any 2D skills or you have a family member, I say family member, a good friend who's an artist, I say team up with them because A, it makes it fun. And then B, it does strengthen your friendship and all that good stuff. But just nice. Nice to work with somebody on something cool. So let's go ahead and look at our character. This is a little annoying. So go down your gizmos here and just pull those 3D icons down. And then we'll be able to see our player a little bit better. And on our player, let's go inside of our character here. And what I want to do is we have a capsule collider here, and that's what's allowing us to sort of touch that area. What I want to do is take that capsule collider actually and just move it up just a tad bit. And then we're going to add a secondary 2D collider on the floor, on the bottom. So let's go ahead and make sure that here's our player input here. I'm actually going to move that above my script here. And then I want to keep my colliders together. So I'm going to add another component, and it's just going to be a box collider 2D. I'm just really just going to pull this, oops, wrong one. Add our box collider. Just pull that down by his feet a little bit. And let's go back. And now when I press play, oh, I forgot that let's go inside here. Here's our capsule collider. Here's our box collider here. And then we need to make this down a little bit like this so that it does touch, because this is our initial collider. Now our character should be able to jump. Let's see. There we go. Now it's registering it. Huh, this is interesting. All right, so now I can't jump up the walls. Like I can't wall jump because we have that secondary collider sort of keeping us away from the wall. All right, let's focus on our enemy here. And actually, if you recall, let's go into our player script. Here, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and we're going to do a side-by-side with the player controller. All right, so if you look at our capsule collider here, I'm going to go ahead and just click on this and hit F12. And it'll take you to wherever we're using this. So you could see here in this on jump, if I click on this, it's in our on jump method. We have this, if the capsule collider is touching the platform layer, right? Or is not touching, then we're going to return. What I'd like to do is instead of the capsule collider, I'd like it to be that box. So I'm just going to name this one box collider. I'm going to go into start. I'm going to just duplicate this line. And I'm going to change, say, box collider equals, and this is for box collider, I believe, box collider 2D. So now we're grabbing that box collider on the bottom of his feet. And I'm just going to grab this name here. You can see it's grayed out because we're not doing anything with it. And on jump, I'm just going to replace it here. So now the box collider is just checking if it's grounded, and then we're jumping. And the box collider gives us a little bit more stability and shape than the capsule collider. And we should still be able, yeah, we're still able to jump. We have this slide material here that's on our capsule. I'm going to go ahead and just hit none for that. And then for the box collider down here, I'm just going to add that slide material here. All right, let's take a look at our enemy. So we imported in the Pixel Adventure 2D art. We have this platform art pack. So I'm going to go in here into enemies. And like I said, eventually these whole things get deleted. The platform art pack and these. And then all we have left is our game, our platformer game, and then our art folder here. So let's take a look at, if you want to make a shooting game, you know, so like there's this angry pig, which looks kind of cool. Here's the idol. I mean, I love that they gave you all this stuff. Let's see, bee, bluebird, bunny, chameleon. I kind of like the idea of like these plants. This looks like a plant versus zombie thing, kind of shooting at you, which is kind of cool. Shooting peas. Let's see what else we got. Turtle, trunk. I think I'm gonna use this trunk guy. So I'm gonna grab this whole trunk folder, and inside of art here, we have a PC for player character. I'm gonna create another folder and just call this an NPC, non-playable character. And then I'm gonna bring my trunk guy into NPC here. And so now we have our trunk guy. Oh, and he's got like a little bullet thing, bullet piece. And here's our idle and our run. If we go into idle here, you could see they've already clipped it as multiple. And if I hit open sprite editor here, they've already got it cut up into these individual frames. So let's create our enemy. So I'm going to create an empty game object here. And I'm going to name this. Let's go ahead and reset this position to 0. And I want to call this guy trunk score non-playable character. Let's add our sprite renderer. And this is, again, what will allow us to see our enemy in the scene. So, for example, I like to start generally with the idle. And drag it in there, you could see, let's hit F to focus. There he is. Let's go ahead and also create a layer state for our sorting layer, because we can't see him here, and we'll just call this enemy. And then I'm going to grab my trunk NPC and tag it enemy. Or not tag it, sorry, on the sorting layer, I'm going to go with enemy. Boop, and there it is. Now he's centered to the world, so that's good. So we've already done that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit W and just move him down here by my player. Actually, I want my player to start all the way up here, so let's do 0 and 0 here. And then we'll move our player here. PC, put him right here. Now these are interesting. See the size 64 by 32 versus this one, which is 16 by 16. So there's a little bit more quality in pixel density. It doesn't look so 8-bit-ish. So the art style is going to clash a little bit too, but that's okay. Again, you always want to go back and repurpose or redo your own artwork. Actually, another thing is with our trunk NPC selected, let's go back to add layer. And I would like the player to be able to kind of always be, you know, like you should always, like it could run past them or something. Or I guess it's if it has collision and we take health off, it's going to be, you know, you're not going to run past it anyway, but just to be safe. So here's our enemy here. And then for the scale of our enemy, let's see. Maybe we can make this 2 by 2 by 2. Still too small. We can make them giant, like 5 by 5. Like really kind of like a scary guy. And he does have the ability to jump pretty high. We could add jump properties, like jump capabilities. All right, let's set our rigid body 2D. And just as sort of a reminder of how this stuff works, you see how it's dynamic. So if I press play, you'll see he's going to fall down through the earth. What we want to do is we still want to use physics, but we don't want to use the gravity component. So we're just going to mark it as kinematic. And now when we press play, we'll still have access to those things, but the gravity won't fall through the floor. Now this guy is kind of box shaped. So I'm going to add a component, and that's just going to be the box collider. And make sure to always select 2D. And then we're going to go ahead and edit that so that it's just the shape of this awesome trunk guy. And I'm not really concerned about that little piece there. Otherwise, it looks weird if you're I guess he's the same height. If he would bump into that and not go through it. So I'll leave that up to you. Start to compress these. We also need the animator component. We're going to be making animations out of the idols and all that other good stuff. And what I might do is, let's see, we have this trunk NPC with all this stuff. Inside of trunk, I'm going to create the animator controller, and I'm just going to name it trunk controller. And here's my trunk NPC. I'm going to drag this trunk controller inside of there. You could also just click on, if you have a lot of difficulty with going back and forth, you could just select the trunk controller there. I'm going to rename this trunk controller. And there it is. Make sure to save often. All right, so on our idle, go ahead and select all of these. Right click, and then we want to go to create animation. And let's see, animation clip. And I'm going to name this trunk idle. And if we go to our trunk NPC and we go to, let's see, let's double click our animator controller here. Dock this next to it so it gives us more space. Because you guys know essentially how it goes. Like at this point, I don't have to do this side by side. So it'll automatically jump to game anyway. But if we go back to our animation here, it should show up here as trunk idle. And now if I press play, you can see it's idling. Man, that is really good. I'm very impressed with the overlapping animation on this free asset. Kind of bummer that the guy isn't selling it, but maybe he's got other good stuff. Or she, rather. All right, so here we go. I say pause it and just make the rest of these, just to have them. And then later you guys can script them in or whatever. But we are definitely going to need a run for our trunk. So right click and just practice this, right? Like it's, create animation clip. And believe it or not, this is the way so we have run, animation, trunk run, right? I should keep the naming conventions the same. And honestly, now that I see that it's starting to build up, you create a folder in here. I just anims because that's the way I did it at a previous studio. They used to call them anims for animation for short. I just put it in there. So let's test this. Let's go back to our animator here. Now we have trunk idle. I'm going to grab run and just drop it in there. And don't forget, you have to loop both of these in order to get them to loop. So now when I press play and we're moving around our environment, this guy should be looping. And it adds so much character and personality to our piece here. And if I push this guy, I can't move because he's got the collider on there. So I've got to go around him like that. Huh. He's stuck like quicksand. I can't jump down here. That's interesting. Platform, player. He doesn't have any friction on this box glider. Let me go back into that player script for a second and just check what I did. So I think a couple things we need to do. One, on our capsule collider, we do need to add that slide back. So let's go back here and grab slide. And then inside of our script, our player script here, I'm going to make sure that I change, let's see, we have our capsule collider. If I hit F12, it's used in a couple places. It says if capsule collider is touching, this is for climbing, and then this is in start. So let's go down here to climbing. We need to use our box collider 2D instead of our capsule collider here 2D. And that way it's checking if it's climbing. So I'm going to hit Control S to save that. Now our character shouldn't get stuck if he jumps down. And it might be also the size. So this stuff can be kind of, let's see, we have a null reference too. Let's see what that's about. So he's able to jump. No problem there. If he falls down, he sticks through the earth. That's so weird. Huh, that's a new one. Could be that our capsule collider is a little lower. Let's see how that is. So capsule collider, let's move it up just a little bit so it's not through the earth. Okay. Interesting. So let's move our box collider just down a little bit. I'm not sure if that really matters, but let's find out if that'll help with our crazy jumping issue. No, he still goes through the floor. Let's check out jump speed. Let's make that like 5. See if it's just too much force jumping over this guy. Like 7. Doesn't matter. All right. I do like 7, by the way. Okay, I think the fix might be actually we take our player here and we switch these around so that our box collider is just higher above the feet and our capsule collider is lower. Like that. Because I think what's happening is this box is the one that's getting stuck. So let's try that again. No, it's actually the other way around. Let's move this much higher. Let's see. Nope, it's stuck. Yeah, I figured it out. So under here, under collision detection, it was set to discrete. So what was happening, it wasn't always checking. But if we set this to continuous, I'm going to save that. Now our collision detection is always checked. So it should, when we jump here, even if no matter how high we jump, boom, you could see we could still jump here. Now I wasn't able to jump off of that enemy because it's marked as a platformer. And you also want to go back and sort of tweak your player's jump, maybe to 9 or something. And that way we can get over this from here to here. So that fixed that, which is great. All right, so this video is at roughly almost 20 minutes, so I think that's good for now. What we'll do in the next video is we'll get our character kind of Mario Brothers style moving.